I never expected a single line at a party to shift everything I thought I knew about respect, pride, and boundaries. My name is Ryan, and my marriage with Claire had always been a balance of support, humor, and understanding. Or so I believed. But the promotion party she threw for herself that evening proved that even the smallest gestures can carry enormous weight. The venue was buzzing with energy. Co-workers mingling, glasses clinking, laughter echoing against the walls. Claire looked radiant, the center of attention, glowing with excitement over her achievement. I had always been proud of her accomplishments, never shy about celebrating them alongside her. Yet, there was something in the way she carried herself that evening, a confidence that felt bordering on arrogance, especially when aimed at me. It began innocuously. A few congratulatory remarks, laughter, casual chats. I was standing near her, offering supportive smiles, fully prepared to let her shine. But then she said it. One line, casual, cutting through the noise like a sharp blade. "This is my life, and you're lucky to be part of it." The words, seemingly innocent, were loaded with mockery, a subtle reminder of power and control, and they landed with a weight I hadn't anticipated. I froze for a moment, processing the implication. It wasn't just a casual boast. It was a deliberate assertion of dominance, a line that belittled my presence and subtly questioned my role in her life. Laughter rippled through her colleagues, some joining in without realizing the sting behind the words. My pride, patience, and sense of fairness all demanded a response, yet I knew that any impulsive reaction could escalate the situation in ways I didn't want. I observed the room, noting reactions, expressions, and the subtle undercurrents of admiration and discomfort among the guests. Claire had intended to mock, perhaps tease or assert superiority, but she had underestimated the consequences. Her colleagues may have laughed, but I could see the tension she hadn't anticipated, the unspoken awareness that her words had crossed a line. Patience became my ally. I didn't need to shout, argue, or confront immediately. My mind worked through possibilities, timing, and the precise way to reclaim dignity without creating unnecessary spectacle. I realized that the true power in such moments isn't in raising your voice, but in observing, calculating, and responding in a way that leaves no room for doubt about boundaries and respect. As the evening continued, I positioned myself subtly, staying close to her while allowing the social flow to continue uninterrupted. The joke, if it could even be called that, had opened a door, one that required careful navigation, awareness, and ultimately a decisive yet quiet response. I knew that by the end of the night, the room would remember more than her promotion. They would witness how subtle mockery could meet with controlled, undeniable authority. I stayed calm, letting the moment settle, knowing that my response had to be precise and impactful. Claire's colleagues continued to chatter around us, unaware of the subtle tension building between us. Her words had been a test, a way to assert dominance, and I realized that how I reacted would determine not just the remainder of the evening, but the unspoken dynamics of our relationship going forward. I leaned in slightly, close enough that only she could hear, my voice steady, controlled. "Claire," I said quietly, "there's a difference between pride and mockery. Tonight you crossed that line." Her eyes widened slightly, the initial smirk fading, replaced by a flicker of recognition and surprise. She hadn't expected confrontation, at least not in this calm, deliberate form. The subtle weight behind my words conveyed authority without needing theatrics, a silent declaration that boundaries existed, and they were non-negotiable. The room continued to hum around us, yet a subtle shift occurred. Those paying attention could sense the tension, even if they didn't understand its origin. Claire's laughter had lost some of its bite, replaced by the awareness that her attempt at belittlement had been noted, catalogued, and countered, not with anger but with measured control. I realized then that power in relationships often resides not in volume or spectacle, but in quiet, deliberate action that exposes overconfidence. She opened her mouth to respond, likely expecting me to retreat, apologize, or defuse the situation with a smile. Instead, I maintained eye contact, my expression firm but calm. "Respect is earned and maintained, not assumed. You may be celebrating tonight, but that doesn't give you license to dismiss or mock those who stand beside you," I continued. Her colleagues, sensing the gravity of the moment, began to shift uneasily, recognizing that the playful evening had become something far more meaningful, a demonstration of integrity, boundaries, and control. Claire paused, the smirk replaced by thoughtfulness. She realized finally that her joke, or what she thought was harmless teasing, had underestimated the consequences. My calm response had flipped the dynamic. Where she intended humor, I had demonstrated awareness, authority, and patience. The evening continued, but the energy had changed. Every subsequent laugh, toast, and comment carried the shadow of what had just occurred. A subtle reminder that even casual mockery has weight, and that respect is never optional. By the end of the party, the lesson had been made clear without any further confrontation. Claire had learned, subtly but undeniably, that certain lines should never be crossed. The room returned to celebration, but I knew that what mattered most was not the applause or attention. It was the unspoken understanding between us, the renewed respect and recognition that boundaries, once tested, cannot be ignored. After the party, we stepped outside onto the balcony, the cool evening air a sharp contrast to the warmth and chatter inside. Claire's expression had softened, but there was still a trace of tension in her eyes, a subtle acknowledgement of the impact her words had carried. I knew that this moment, though brief, would linger far longer than any toast or applause. "I didn't mean to embarrass you," she said quietly, almost a whisper. "It was just a joke." Her voice trailed off, and I could see the conflict within her. The recognition that humor, while often playful, can carry unexpected weight when it touches pride, respect, and unspoken vulnerabilities. I took her hand gently, holding it between mine. "Claire, I understand, but there's a difference between teasing and undermining. That line exists for a reason," I said, my voice calm, deliberate, and measured. She nodded slightly, a mixture of relief and lingering awareness passing over her face. The lesson had been delivered, not with anger or spectacle, but with precise, quiet authority. In the following days, our conversations became more open and intentional. That single line at her promotion party had revealed hidden dynamics, unspoken frustrations, and the subtle boundaries that had been taken for granted. We spoke about respect, perception, and the delicate balance of pride and humility in both our personal and public interactions. The incident, though uncomfortable at the moment, became a catalyst for growth, understanding, and renewed commitment. Reflecting on that night, I realized that moments of tension are often the most revealing. They expose what is truly valued, tested, and respected. Claire's words had highlighted an imbalance, and my measured response had restored equilibrium. Humor, celebration, and achievement are important, but they must coexist with awareness, empathy, and consideration for the emotional weight of words. By the end of the week, the memory of the promotion party had transformed from a source of embarrassment into a meaningful lesson. It reminded both of us that authority and respect in relationships are maintained not by force, volume, or retaliation, but through calm observation, precise timing, and unwavering boundaries. The dynamic between us had shifted subtly but significantly. Trust had been reaffirmed, pride had been respected, and mutual understanding strengthened. That evening, what seemed like a casual social gathering had become a defining moment, a testament to the power of awareness, quiet authority, and emotional intelligence. The room may have celebrated Claire's promotion, but the true victory was the restoration of respect, and the reminder that even playful words carry weight. In relationships, every gesture, joke, or comment can have consequences, and navigating them with care defines the strength and resilience of love.